When Pope Francis's sister speaks, the world listens, especially when her words turn toward Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Often referred to as the Lasian Francis, Tagle has long been seen not merely as a papal candidate, but as the living embodiment of Pope Francis's vision. His humility, compassion, and dedication to the marginalized reflect the very spirit that Francis brought to the papacy. A theologian with a disarming smile, a shepherd who brings joy like a song, and a communicator who bridges worlds, Tagle has the rare ability to reach both the powerful and the poor with equal sincerity. María Elena Bergoglio, the Pope's sister, lives far from the spotlight, but her life tells a story of fierce love, quiet strength, and resilience. Hers is a story born of faith and struggle, not fame. The Bergoglio family was once just a hard-working Argentine household, stitched together by grace and grounded in modest means. Their father, Mario José Bergoglio, worked the railways with calloused hands and a soft-spoken nature. Their mother, Regina Maria Siveri, kept the family whole with unshakable faith. They had little money, but they were rich in love, something their children learned early to value above all. María Elena, the youngest of 5, grew up under the protective gaze of her oldest brother, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, who the world would come to know as Pope Francis. To her, though, he was simply the big brother who stood guard when life grew difficult. Their siblings, Alberto Horacio, Marta Regina, and Oscar Adrian, each followed their own paths, now passed on, leaving María Elena the last bearer of their family's memory and spirit. When their father died, María Elena was still a child. It was a loss that might have overwhelmed most, but she had something rare: an older brother who stepped into the void with love and purpose. Jorge became more than a sibling, he became her guide and anchor. He taught her to dance the tango, to laugh through sorrow, and to carry herself with quiet dignity even in heartbreak. When he eventually left for Rome, a part of her heart went with him. But even the grandeur of the Vatican couldn't sever their bond. Jorge called her regularly, never as Pope Francis, just Jorge, her brother. Because in true love, there's no need for titles. When Jorge was elected Pope in 2013, the world erupted in celebration. But María Elena cried. She was proud, of course, but honest enough to admit that she had prayed he wouldn't be chosen. "I was afraid of losing my brother to the world," she confessed. And who could blame her? Watching someone you love become a global figure means watching them become everyone else's, too. Still, she never allowed resentment to grow. At her brother's request, she declined to attend his inauguration, instead donating the travel money to charity. That's who María Elena is: steadfast, generous, and grounded. Even as media swarmed to know more about Pope Francis, María Elena stayed in Argentina, shunning the spotlight. She gave no interviews for attention, signed no book deals, and sought no fame. When she did speak, it was to reveal the man behind the papal robes, the brother who once swept floors and read her bedtime stories. She described him as tough enough to lead the church, with the same sense of humor and the same stubborn streak he always had. She didn't romanticize him, and people listened, because her words carried the kind of unvarnished truth the world rarely hears. María Elena is more than the Pope's sister. She is a mother, a fighter, and a survivor. She raised her children with the same quiet resolve she was raised with. Her daughter, Cristina Bergoglio, is a respected artist based in Madrid, while her son, José Ignacio Bergoglio, speaks of their family with pride and humility. In 2015, María Elena faced a serious health scare and was hospitalized. But even then, she didn't crumble. She smiled through the pain, leaned on humor, and reflected on how laughter had always carried her family through the darkest times. She speaks of her late siblings, Alberto, Marta, and Oscar, not with sorrow, but with reverence. To her, their memories are not burdens to mourn but treasures to cherish. "Life in my family has known a lot of sadness, tears, and pain," she once said, "but even in the most difficult times, we've experienced a smile and a laugh that could provide us with the energy we needed to find our way back." That quote doesn't just describe her, it defines her. In a world dimmed by loss, María Elena's laughter is a spark of light, and when it comes from someone who has endured so much, it carries the power to heal. While Pope Francis reshaped the Catholic Church with his call for compassion, reform, and humility, María Elena has been the quiet pillar behind that mission. She lived those values first, not for cameras or applause, but because they were etched into her soul. She's not gracing magazine covers or best-selling memoir lists. But in the shadows, she's built a legacy just as enduring, one of grace, grit, and unwavering love. María Elena Bergoglio doesn't preach from pulpits or stand beneath cathedral domes, but in her quiet way, she's taught the world one of the most powerful lessons: humility is not weakness, it's strength in its purest form. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson her brother, Pope Francis, ever learned from her. If you've ever held your family together through grief, if you've watched a sibling rise while you stayed in the background, or if you've ever chosen love over envy, silence over applause, or faith over fear, then María Elena's story belongs to you. She is the mirror of the unsung hero, the kind who never seeks the spotlight but keeps the fire of love burning in the shadows. With the death of Pope Francis, the Church finds itself in a moment of deep mourning and radical uncertainty. The loss has left a void not just in Vatican leadership, but in the spiritual lives of millions. Now, as the College of Cardinals prepares to enter the Sistine Chapel in early May, the world braces for what could be one of the most unpredictable papal conclaves in modern history. For those who long for tradition but also hunger for progress, this moment stirs something deeper, a quiet hope for renewal. Pope Francis didn't simply reform the papacy, he reshaped the College of Cardinals itself. Over 80% of the 135 electors entering this conclave were appointed by him. Yet Francis wasn't interested in installing clones. He chose men from vastly different theological schools, cultures, and world views. As a result, this conclave isn't a smooth succession, it's a storm of perspectives, a spiritual and political wild card. There is no clear frontrunner, no